on, here we go. Rudy and the crew, exclusive interview. Welcome to the show, let's have some fun. Sweep Unplugged starts now.
Hey, what's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's that another time for another segment. And guess what, man? We are going to straight up music today. So we have our special guest, Kimeyo, and he's going to be talking about his family collaboration, The Process. And we're going to learn everything about his two sons, ChunkyOnDaTrak and JorgeMadeIt, and all about the history of just what he's been doing in the music industry. So first and foremost, I want to welcome you, Kimeyo, to the show. How you doing, man?
How's it doing today, man? I just appreciate you guys allowing me to be on your platform. It's a honor. I'm looking forward to answering some questions and helping you learn a little bit more about what I do and the process.
And start that off for the audience. Start with just the process of how you got inside the music industry. Tell us a little bit about the Los Angeles scene, and we'll go from there.
Well, I started in the record business after my father passed away. I was kind of like off. Didn't really have no more direction because what I thought my plan was in life kind of changed abruptly once I had to deal with my father, untimely death. So I started writing songs to kind of get over it. So my first record that I did that I ended up having to shelf was called The Lesson. And all of those songs was about what I had learned in life, you know, growing into becoming a man. So fast forward, right? My sons moved in with me in 2021. And when they moved in with me, it kind of changed the dynamics of my everyday life. And they ended up wanting to do music as well. So, after my experiences, I didn't want them to really go through that, but they were so talented and they were so passionate about it, I was kind of like stuck without a choice. So what I did was I told them for me to teach you guys how to be in this business, since we do have distribution through CD Baby. I know how to set up a label. I know how to do the administration. I'm going to do a record where you guys produce the record, and we're going to call it The Process. And the reason why we're calling it The Process, because I'm going to teach you all the steps that it takes to put out a record. And that's what the process pretty much is. Them from producing, me rapping, writing, then having an engineer, an A&R. So I'm teaching them all the different roles of the project, from the thought to making the album, to the song selection, to the song arrangements, to the mixing, to the mastering, and now like what we're doing with the press run. So it's like I'm showing them all the steps that it takes to put out a record, and it's the process.
When you look at being in different studios, talk about the scene in Los Angeles. Is there a particular studio that you guys tend to go to every now and then or consistently? And how does that look as far as trying to build that sound?
Well, when I first started, I started working in a studio called The Edge with the owner's name is Mark Palladino. And Mark Palladino taught me how to make records. So I learned from Mark. And my original engineer was James Whiteman of JJW Sound, who happens to be my mastering engineer for this record. So James mastered my first album, and he started off my journey with the production, right? I mean, with the engineering. Then I ended up with Smythe Hernandez. I call him Box Cutter. And Box Cutter has been my engineer for well over, I'm going to say, about 20-something years. So when I started my first album, my career, it was Box Cutter engineering my record. Then as I was going on in life, I got to work in different studios. I done worked in some of the best: New York, Atlanta, Florida, Miami specifically. I done worked in studios all over the place, man. I done worked, and what I've learned is that there's no better studio than where you feel secure. And I don't mean that as far as like from a violence level. I mean it from a level of where you don't you don't have to worry about it. Turn this ringer off, Chunky. Where you don't have to worry about your sound getting out, the the songs getting released early, or people copying your music and taking your music and moving forward. So it's just a matter of, I feel secure working at the edge because I know Mark Palladino taught me how to make records. I know Bosch Cutter was my original engineer, so our chemistry works together. And then with me bringing my sons into the business, I was able to keep their sound, secure. Like no one can really get their sound without going through the process of working with us. Now they done put out a couple of beats to their friends who might have made songs or whatever the case may have been, might even have dropped some things on DistroKid, but as far as professionally structuring and putting out records, they're doing that with me right now. So they both members of BMI. They got publishing companies. They are co-owners of the label. So it's a family event here. And Chunky, he's an artist and a producer, and JorgeMadeIt just strictly want to produce. So we work at that same studio, The Edge. We do a lot of pre-production work at home, and then we go there and we clean it up and get it ready for commercial release.
You're watching Sweep Unplug on Sweep Delete TV, and we're talking to our guest, Kimeyo. You go to his website, ChunkyOnDaTrak, listen to all the music, check out the videos, check out the blog, and all the other resources that he has available for y'all. But let's talk about the role that Chunky on the Track and JorgeMadeIt play with the album's production. What was it like to see your sons not just learn the business side of the industry, but also create that unique sound for this project?
That was the best part. I'm gonna tell you, man, because I got them the equipment. I got them a Mac, and there was only one Mac computer in the house, so they would take turns. Chunky would kind of like hog it. He would get on it and work all day, all night, and whenever George kind of acted like he wanted to get on the equipment, Chunky start acting like a pit bull with the food. So Chunky stay on the equipment. So whenever Chunky would just figure out something else to do, George would jump on it and start playing. So it wasn't really a group effort at first. So then when we relocated, Chunky had the laptop, and I ended up getting George his own Mac-top. So they both got MacBooks now, right? So now George is cranking them out. Now but Chunky still holds the monopoly on the studio because we got a studio in the garage with the setup and the speakers and the mic, and Chunky pretty much runs it. That's his world. George might go in there, but he know Chunky gonna find an excuse to come in there and start telling them this and that. So it was amazing watching them both develop into who they are. So Chunky, he gave me the tracks. I wrote to him. We record them. I can go back and forth and reference them. George, he gives me the tracks, and then I take his to the studio and record them. So now Chunky, because he has his own, how can I say it? Chunky knows what he wants. So he don't really like his music being touched. So what he's doing in the garage, to him, it's done there. He ain't going to the studio to double check nothing. Because he don't want to hear or watch nobody mess with his music. So I would have to take him to the studio, do him, and bring him back and let him critique him, because he does. He critiques everything. But George, more or less, will come to the studio and actually get involved with the engineer and ask questions and take a little bit of criticism. But Chunky is a little bit more seasoned when it comes to what he's looking for as a producer. So watching them both develop, it was amazing for me. But now with me being the dad, I gotta still hold a high level of confidence for them to allow them to be my producers. When I don't work with so many different producers that's well known in the industry, and for me to choose to let my sons take the lead on this particular project, it took for me to have a lot of confidence in their skill set. And I mean, we pulled it off. They ended up doing eight records on the album. You know what I'm saying? And I'm very impressed with their records. And every day it changes. One day it might be one of Chunky's, the next day is one of George's, then it's the other producers that's on the record. But the meat and potatoes of this album, this project, the process, is Chunky on the track and George made it.
When we think about sports, especially with Super League TV, Rudy and Coach Gio and Derek Gervin, Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, UTSA Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, talking sports, the process, we hear that, and that's what athletes have to go through day in, day out, especially the GOATs, especially the top elite in whatever sport they're in. When you think about the listeners and what they're going to be able to gain from listening to these songs on the project, what do you hope that they'll be able to appreciate, not just the art form, but the message as well?
Well, you know, I'm in Laker country, man. So you know, we world champions. You know, we gonna get TV time. So we bright lights and stars. It's showtime all day over here. We Lakers, and for me, coming from that Laker mentality, right? I know I got the draft picks. I know I got me a star point guard. I know I got an awesome center, you know, and coaching, as far as the coaching is concerned, you looking at me, I'm coach, I'm dad. I done did the Jerry West role. I done played many, many games. Ain't got no ring for playing many, many games because I spent my whole life chasing that dream and it never happened for me. Now I get to sit back and play the GM. But as the GM, I still got a good couple years left, so I'm gonna go on the court and go on and try to run one season. So I ended up doing the LeBron thing. I got my boys out here on the court running it, feed me the ball, letting me get to the hole, dunking, letting me shoot my little threes. I'm looking good out here with my boys playing on the side, and I get to play coach. So now, after I finish, you know, this season, hopefully we make the playoffs, maybe get a championship ring, but just the fact that I'm able to play on the court with my boys right now and still learn how to play GM and coach is going to be a beautiful transition watching Chunky and George take that next step. And I just sit back and just play Jerry West, putting them the great players around them, find another artist to surround them with, find another, you know, engineer. Well, not really too many other engineers, but, you know, like just finding other people to facilitate their skill set as producers and artists. I get to sit down and really work on it, develop them. So this like I said, you want to put it on sports, we the Lakers, man. And right now, they got pops out here running. I'm Jerry West. I'm Jerry West with my boys, and Chunky ended up being Magic, and George is Kareem, you know, and I'm Jerry West playing the back, and Box Cutter is our Kurt Rambis. I mean, not Kurt Rambis. Box Cutter is Pat Riley. So we making it happen right now. So it's a beautiful family situation, and I'm glad you used that sports analogy because you got me thinking about the Lakers and how Jerry Buss came in and changed the whole dynamics of the NBA by making it Showtime. Because that's kind of like what's happening here with me and my boys. It went from me being an artist, finding different producers to work with, where I'm working with my whole family, everybody I started the process with. Mark Palladino at the Edge, James Whiteman, JJW Sound is the manager. I mean, the mastering engineer. Box Cutter, like I said, producer and engineer for my first project. I'm still in the Edge, still playing in the same gym, you know. And then I got my sons. You know, it's like a match made in heaven for me, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's beautiful, man.
Those watching this, you watching Sweep Unplugged, and you can go visit our guest website. It's Kimeyo.com. You can check out his music, his videos, his blog, and all the other details and resources he has available for you. For our audience, as we wrap up, two more questions. First one will be, what do you envision for your sons, the kind of impact they can have in the music industry? And two, what do you hope the legacy will be when it's all said and done?
I just want my boys to have fun, man. I kind of see them setting their own destiny, setting their own objectives and goals to accomplish. And I just want them to have fun. I don't want them to look at it the way I had to look at it, with so much stress and pressure of feeling like I had to have a record deal. I had to be signed. I had to have a budget. I had to have all this fancy materialistic aspects to prove that I'm an artist or to prove that I'm achieving something. I just want my boys to come in here and just have fun because they got a record label. It's theirs. We got distribution. CD baby. I know how to administrate. They're learning how to administrate. We got an engineer. We got a home studio at the house. We got a green screen room to shoot video and content. So it's kind of like we kind of self-sufficient. Now, as far as the money's concerned, my sons are still young. They can go get a regular job and use the money from their job to funnel whatever they want to do in entertainment because Pop's going to take care of the roof over their head as long as they still at the crib. You know, now if they fall in love and move out, then you know that's another ball game. But long as they still my babies, 'cause they my babies, man. They in the house, go on and flip your money doing what you want to do with this music, and I'm gonna sit here and continue to work with you. So it's kind of like I just want them to have fun. That's the best thing I could say, man. And then as far as the legacy is concerned, they already done solidified it. They produced their dad's record, you know. They got their own publishing. They got their own label. They done solidified the legacy. It's on what they want to do now. At 16 and 18, they don't have to do this forever. They can go on and get this phase over with and move on to whatever the next thing is going to be in life for them. But I'm appreciative of the moment that I got with them right now today.
Once again, you're watching Sweep Unplugged on Sweep Delete TV, and like I said, the guest website, Kimeyo, you go to his website, is ChunkyOnDaTrak. Make sure you check out the process, the project, and big shout out to not just your whole family being part of the industry, but what you're doing to lead your two sons to leave an impact on this industry. So with that said, you can watch Sweep the League Monday through Friday with Rudy, Coach Gio, and also UTSA Hall of Famer Derek Gervin himself. He had some big news over the weekend, so if you missed that, make sure you hit the subscribe button because I know Rudy's going to spill the beans on the big opportunity that Derek has had this past weekend. But first and foremost, thank you to Kimeyo for your time and best wishes for everything y'all do.
Thanks, man. I appreciate everything, and just have a positive week, work day, and I continue to have a great success. And I appreciate being on your platform, man.